Hi everybody, welcome back to my studio. This is Natifa and I'm going to walk you all through how I created this envelope. So for this one, I started out by painting my entire back of the envelope with black gesso. I love black gesso. If you guys follow me on Instagram, which if you don't, you probably should. But I love black gesso because it really does give this matte effect, matte background, matte look, and I love that. So that's what I did there. And now I'm just going through and I am marking off where I want to draw my lines for my window. I don't necessarily have like a set line. It just depends on whatever look I'm going for. But I think I did about an inch here down, maybe an inch and a half. I'm not really, I don't really know. Just sort of like far enough down where it's not too close to the edge so that when I fold it, it doesn't like look crazy or starts like trying to lift up or whatever else. So that's what you guys see me doing here. And once I'm done, I use my cutting board to cut out my window. So I'm just grabbing a craft knife. This one is by Tim Holtz. I love this one because it's a lot thicker than traditional craft knives. And so it's a lot more comfortable, at least for me. So originally I had started out wanting to use this background paper. I thought it was really beautiful. And I thought that if I combined the plaid from this paper stash is by Tim Holtz, also the new Ideology Christmas background paper stash or background papers. It would be really pretty with this plaid that I'm doing here. So I die cut some dimensional stars out. I think this is the Christmas Vault die set by Sizzix and Tim Holtz. And I wanted to play with this one because I really thought the black and the plaid was going to look really, really beautiful. And with that background paper, it was going to look even more beautiful. So that's the color scheme I was going with. And so that's what you guys see me doing here. I'm just sort of like folding these stars because they're kind of dimensional and they're kind of like, I don't know, they're not like really hard to fold. You just have to kind of crease them at the right spot to fold them. And so once you do that, then it's ready to go. So I also cut out these or die cut these little lace out of the same paper, and I wanted to create like a window inside of a window. I've done this design before, and so I really think it's pretty, and I thought it'd be kind of nice to do that with this envelope. And so I'm just gluing down with some hot glue the little lace die cuts, and I'm going to do it around the entire window on the inside. So that's what you guys see me doing here. And I'm using hot glue for this because I really think that it's just faster. I discovered, I was like, you know what, hot glue is a lot faster than just waiting for my tacky glue usually to dry. So I'm using hot glue here. But you have to be really like careful because you have to make sure this is where you want your piece to go, because once you hot glue it down, it's a little bit harder to remove it from paper. And so I would just say that. So then I'm just sort of cleaning off my little spatula there because I had some hot glue stuck to it. So that's what you guys saw me doing there really quickly. So as I finish this one off, just, you know, if you're using, I would encourage you to use like metal, like a metal spatula or a metal something, because the hot glue kind of comes off of that a little bit easier than plastic. So that's what I discovered. So if you want to do that, and you can go ahead and do that. So now that my piece is together, I'm going to glue my die cut bow, hot gluing the little middle piece to kind of finish it off. And it's small, so I had to be really like careful and glue one piece in and then glue the other side. And I wanted this like on the left like corner there. So you guys see I've kind of put my design together a little bit here. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I did want to add some little like strips of that plaid paper to the envelope. So I'm just sort of gluing things down now because I don't want this to move around when I start adding other pieces to it. So I'm building this as I go. I kind of have an idea of, this is as far as I knew what I wanted to do with it. I always have this idea in my head, but whenever I execute them, they always end up being something completely different. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. So that's what's kind of happening here. But I'm gluing down my stars just to kind of put them in place so I can continue designing the envelope. So now I'm going to go back through here. I'm pulling out some ephemera pieces from the Ideology Christmas that was just released by Tim Holtz. And I'm trying to decide what I want to add here. I just feel like this needs something else on the inside or on the outside or something. It was just sort of too boring for me, kind of bland, and I needed to add some stuff. So I'm kind of saying, do I want to add more stars to this? Do I want to add some ephemera pieces to this? What do I want to do? So I'm just sort of playing, and this is what I usually just do. I just sort of play around and see what jumps out at me, because I have found that the more I play with things, the more, you know, I kind of get a finalized piece of what I want it to look like. And that's what typically happens when I'm designing these. So yeah, I'm just sort of saying, I kind of settled on some stars there for a little bit. I consider using some paper dolls, and I'm just sort of again just playing around to see what I really like. I decided that piece of strip was too close to the star, so I kind of cut that down a little bit, and kind of went from there. Decided I didn't like the stars, but I did find these little ephemera pieces that I loved. I wanted some of that green to be on the inside because I feel like it was just very red and black, and I wanted to kind of do some sort of like contrast in color. And I wanted to create a window on this one, so I decided to, or I wanted to add a transparency to this one, acetate, so I cut this down, and I'm going to glue this with some hot glue, which I have found recently is hot glue is very, very good at gluing down acetate, instead of like what I used to use was like tacky glue. That just takes so long. The hot glue is just a lot faster, and I was like, oh, I loved it. And it's in there, it doesn't move around, it's just ready to go. So I created my window, and that's what you guys see me doing here. So I was like, perfect. I love the way this is looking. Still loving, you know, this background, and kind of going. But then I was like, you know what? Let me just see what else is out there. Let's just go into this stash and see if I really love this. Because I just felt like it was just really red. And even though I love that paper, I was like, I just ended up not really feeling it. So I found this other image in the paper, the background paper stash, and I was like, yes, I love it. But I wanted to extend it out so that I could have enough space on the right hand side of the envelope to see the entire image. And so I added my foam tape, my dimensional foam tape, to kind of create a little bit more of a, like a little like some space between it, like a shadow box. Then I did it upside down, so I had to redo it and make sure it was facing or going upright the right way. And then I glued it, or I taped it down and cut off the excess from the paper that I used. And I just thought it looked really, really cool. I love the image in there. I was like, yes, this is just perfect. I just love the way it looked. And so I decided I was going to just glue it down, use some hot glue. It's just a lot faster. And then I decided to use some water to paint the flap and dry this. And this is a great way if your flaps are curling, just add some water or liquid to the back side of it and dry it, and it's going to dry flat for you. So you don't have to worry about it just curling all the time. That's what I typically do for that one. So now that I've put the envelope together, I wanted to add something else, because obviously it just looks kind of like just kind of boring. And so I'm kind of going through my stencils to see which one I want. And the entire time in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to do like swirls, but I couldn't find my stencil, and I knew I had to like find it. I was like, let me just see if anything else is gonna fit. So I kind of went through I was looking for my swirls one, and I couldn't find it. So I was just trying to find some that would like maybe fit, you know, and kind of look really cool, but alas, it did not. So I had to go deep into my my desk area and find my swirls stencil so I could use it. And so that's what you guys see me. I found it, so I can go ahead and start stenciling. And don't be like me. I hardly ever like clean off my stencils right after I use them, especially if I'm using like ink. So this is the same color I've been using like with a lot of other ones. So I'm just sort of going in here with some candied apple oxide ink, the stamping pad oxides, and I'm just adding some swirls to the envelope and trying to see like, okay, I'm kind of liking this. I'm trying to fill the spots. So I went back through and did the entire flap of the envelope, because when I do mail these, I can put my address on the plastic cellophane sleeve that I use. I can put my address on the back of that, so I don't have to like worry about an address. So after I did that, I wanted to do some outlining, because I love using my gel pens. You guys know that if you follow me on Instagram. And so I went back through, and I am just outlining all of the swirls over the entire envelope. I just thought that, you know, I'm using a green gel pen. So this gel pen It's one of those that when it looks green, but when it dries, it tends to dry as like a gold. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's gold. So I wanted this to kind of look, and I think it's just really festive and it just looks really, really cool. So I wanted to use that for my swirls. So once that was all done, I decided I was going to add some little dots. I think little dots are just really beautiful. I don't know what it is about them, but for some reason, whenever I use them, I just end up falling in love with them over and over again. And so I decided to fill in the little black spaces with some gold or some green gold dots, and that's what you guys see me doing here. And that ended up going over the entire envelope. It takes a little bit of time, but honestly, I think the effect is worth it. And so, if you've never tried dots on not just your envelope, but like on a card or something like that, if you're looking to fill space, really consider using dots because I think it's just one of the most beautiful designs you can add to fill space. So that's what you guys see me doing here. And I know sometimes like when you're watching this stuff for like on Instagram, when I do like a time lapse, or if I speed up my video, it looks like it goes really, really fast. But I would encourage you to like actually take your time and do this because it can you can I mean, I don't want to say you can mess it up, but you can, if you're just going really fast and just like not taking your time. So especially when you're using gel pens, because they don't dry immediately, they tend to like, you can smear it. And so even your oxides, I kind of smeared a little bit of my oxide, but my pens were able to cover that little spot. So either like use a heat gun to dry your oxides so they don't smear when you're doing your pen work, or just take your time with the pen, because once the pen smears, it's a little bit hard to kind of like clean that up. Actually, I think I've tried cleaning it up with just some like with oxides before, but if it's just like black gesso, you can try to paint it again, but it just gets really annoying. So make sure you're like taking your time and you're doing it in a way, or in a direction that's kind of away from the designs you've already done, so you don't go back and like your hand doesn't smear the parts of the envelope or the piece you're working on with the wet pen ink. So that's what you guys see me doing here, so just take your time. And here's our final product, you guys. I love how it turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.